I'm Sarah, and life had been good, or at least, that's what I thought. I'm 28, happily married to a wonderful man named Mark. We've been through a lot together, built a life, paid our bills, and created our own little world. But there's a storm brewing, and its name is Jane. It all started when I met Mark's parents. Walking into their house felt like entering a lion's den with a stake tied around my neck. Jane, Mark's mother, had this way of looking at me as if she were trying to decide whether I was more of a nuisance or just plain boring. I could tell she had already made up her mind about me before I even said hello. Mark had warned me about his mom. She can be a bit much, he said as we drove to their place for the first time. But don't take it to heart, okay? I tried not to. At dinner, as I passed the salt, Jane brought up Mark's ex, Stephanie. They reminisced about Stephanie's amazing cooking, and I felt like I was invisible. I swallowed my feelings and said, "Sounds like she was a great cook." Jane's eyes met mine, and she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Oh, she was. She was a lot of things. Later, I told Mark how I felt. "It's like she's measuring me against some ghost," I said, and Mark hugged me close. "You're the one I chose, Sarah. That's all that matters." But Jane had a long game in mind, and I was the pawn she was eager to sacrifice. Living with allergies was like having a constant shadow whispering danger in my ear. Peanuts had been my arch nemesis since childhood, leading to emergency room visits and a laundry list of forbidden foods. Jane, of course, knew about my allergies but questioned them every time we had dinner. "Are you sure you can't even have a little bit of this pie? It's got almond extract," she'd ask with a tone between concern and disbelief. I'd smile politely and decline, but it was an ongoing battle. Once, at a family gathering, Jane served a casserole she claimed was Sarah-friendly. Alex, my husband, questioned her use of cream of mushroom soup, which often included soy, a big no-no for me. We left the casserole untouched, but it was a small victory in an ongoing war where Jane held all the cards because she controlled the kitchen. Eating out became a strategic operation. One rare Italian place understood the gravity of food allergies, but even there, I couldn't escape the worry. "You okay?" Alex asked after the waiter left. "Yeah, I'm fine. I just hate making a fuss." "You're not making a fuss. You're making sure you don't, die." He half joked, half serious. "Well, when you put it that way." But the clouds darkened when Jane texted me a warning. "Be careful, Sarah. Not everyone takes your condition seriously. Wouldn't want anything to happen to you." I read the text to Alex, who reassured me, "She's just trying to get to you." But I couldn't shake the feeling that it was more than a jab. It was a warning, a reminder that my vulnerability was not just to food, but to people like her who saw it as a weakness to be exploited. Dinners at Jane's house were like a play where everyone knew their parts except me. I was the wild card, the one who could unintentionally cause a scene with a single bite. One evening, tensions reached a peak when Jane served green beans with almond slivers. "I can't eat those, remember. Almonds are a no-go for me," I said. Jane feigned surprise, hand to her chest. "Oh dear, I must have forgotten. Silly me." The tension escalated. Mark confronted his mother, and the evening ended in strained politeness. Later, he apologized, but the truth was clear. Jane was serving a plate of malice with every meal, and I was the main course. I could always tell when Jane had been working on Mark. He'd get this distant look in his eyes, like he was seeing me but also seeing through me, weighing her words against his own judgment. One evening, he dropped a bomb. "Mom thinks we should consider. Well, she thinks we might not be thinking about the future enough." "The future?" I asked, a sinking feeling in my gut. "Yeah, kids and your health issues," he continued, the word issues hanging awkwardly in the air. "She talked to you about my allergies again, didn't she?" He sighed. "She's just worried, Sarah. She thinks it's a lot for us to handle, especially if we want a family. We talked about this. I've managed so far, haven't I? And there are plenty of people with allergies who have kids." I know. It's just she has this way of making me doubt things." The tension thickened and doubts seeped into the cracks of our once strong relationship. The news of my pregnancy should have been a happy surprise, but it became a complicated one for everyone else. Jane, the puppet master, pulled the strings, orchestrating a congratulatory dinner that turned into a nightmare. As the evening unfolded, Jane's hospitality turned out to be a trap. She handed me a slice of cake with hidden allergens, and the room went silent when I realized the danger. Mark confronted his mother, revealing the intentional harm she had caused. The family shattered, and we left early, carrying the weight of the evening on our shoulders. The fallout from that night lingered. Scars were left on our family, and the once polite facade was shattered. Our home, filled with memories and love, became a battleground for a storm threatening to uproot everything we knew. In that moment, I realized that, no matter what happened, we had each other. We were a team about to bring a new life into the world, and that was what mattered. "I love you, Sarah," Mark said, pulling me close. "I love you too," I whispered back. The doubts planted by Jane threatened to choke the life out of our beautiful thing, but we clung to each other, hoping to weather the storm that had become our lives. Days after the disastrous dinner, the aftermath unfolded like a slow-motion train wreck. Mark's phone buzzed incessantly with messages and calls from relatives expressing shock, support, and apologies. The house, once a sanctuary, now felt like a fragile refuge amidst the storm. Our love for each other became our anchor as we faced the chaos. Mark and I cocooned ourselves, attempting to shield our fragile happiness from the outside world. However, it was impossible to ignore the cracks forming in our once unbreakable bond. Jane's actions had unleashed a maelstrom, revealing fractures not just in our relationship, but in the broader family dynamics. Some relatives stood by us, appalled at Jane's cruelty, while others struggled to reconcile the reality with the image of the perfect family they believed in. Mark and I faced each day with a sense of heaviness, as if the air itself carried the weight of unsaid words and unspoken grief. We oscillated between silent understanding and tearful conversations, grappling with the profound impact of that fateful night. One evening, as we sat in the dimly lit living room, Mark broke the silence. "I can't believe she did that, Sarah. I can't believe my own mother would go to such lengths." Tears welled up in my eyes as I nodded, my heart heavy with the burden of the shattered illusions. "I never thought it would come to this. I never thought she'd intentionally put me in danger." Mark reached for my hand, and our fingers intertwined, seeking solace in each other's touch. "We'll get through this together, Sarah. No matter what, we have each other." But as the days turned into weeks, the weight of the situation pressed on us. The reality of fractured family ties cast a shadow over our attempts at normalcy. Jane's actions weren't just a betrayal, they were a seismic shift in the foundation of trust. The external pressures mounted as well. Messages from well-meaning relatives flooded in, urging reconciliation, forgiveness, and understanding. It became a struggle to balance our own need for healing with the expectations of those who believed in the power of familial bonds. One evening, Mark received a call from his father, who seemed torn between loyalty to his wife and concern for his son. The conversation was strained, filled with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. Mark hung up, frustration etched on his face. "He thinks we should give Mom a chance to apologize, to make amends," Mark said, his voice heavy with the weight of conflicting loyalties. I looked into his eyes, seeing the internal struggle mirrored in his gaze. "Do you think she's capable of genuine remorse?" Mark sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know, Sarah. I honestly don't know anymore." The specter of doubt hovered over us, infiltrating the once clear waters of our relationship. We grappled with the notion of forgiveness, understanding, and the possibility of rebuilding what was broken. The path ahead seemed fraught with uncertainty, and the journey to healing appeared long and arduous. Yet, in the midst of the darkness, a glimmer of hope remained, the life growing within me. The tiny heartbeat on the ultrasound became a symbol of resilience, a testament to the power of life even in the face of turmoil. Weeks turned into months, and the undercurrents of tension refused to ebb away. Our home, once a sanctuary, felt like a battleground where emotions clashed and sentiments lay bruised. Jane's attempt to poison our relationship had left scars that ran deep. One day, as Mark and I sat in the hushed stillness of our living room, contemplating the uncertain future, he spoke with a heavy heart. "I've been thinking, Sarah, maybe we should at least hear her out. Give her a chance to explain herself." The suggestion hung in the air, a weighty proposition that threatened to tip the fragile balance we had managed to maintain. I looked into Mark's eyes, searching for a glimmer of certainty. "Do you think it will change anything, Mark? Can we ever trust her again?" His gaze wavered, torn between familial obligation and the harsh reality we faced. "I don't know, but maybe closure is what we need to move forward." Reluctantly, I agreed, the decision etching a bittersweet taste in my mouth. We arranged a meeting, a family gathering fraught with apprehension and unspoken words. As we approached Jane's house, the knots in my stomach tightened with each step. The air inside was thick with tension as we faced each other, strangers masked as family. Jane's attempt at an apology felt rehearsed, lacking the sincerity needed to bridge the chasm that had formed between us. Words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of unaddressed grievances. Mark, caught between his loyalty to his mother and the newfound alliance with his wife, seemed a mere spectator in this familial drama. The wounds, still fresh, resisted the bandages of hollow apologies. As we left Jane's house that day, the words she uttered lingered in the air like a haunting melody. "I hope in time you can find it in your hearts to forgive me." But forgiveness proved elusive, an intangible concept dancing just out of reach. The scars of deceit ran deep, and the foundation of trust lay shattered. The attempt at reconciliation felt like applying a band-aid to a wound that required stitches. In the weeks that followed, we grappled with the aftermath, attempting to rebuild what was broken. Family gatherings became strained affairs, each moment tainted by the shadows of the past. Mark and I sought solace in each other, our love becoming the anchor in the stormy seas. Yet, beneath the surface, the undercurrents of doubt persisted. Mark, caught between the love for his mother and the loyalty to his wife, seemed to carry the weight of a decision yet to be made. Our home, once a fortress of shared dreams, now echoed with the footsteps of uncertainty. As I navigated the complexities of pregnancy, the impending arrival of our child brought both joy and apprehension. Would our fractured family find a way to heal for the sake of this new life, or would the wounds continue to fester, casting a perpetual shadow over our shared journey? Months passed, and the weight of our tangled family dynamics cast a shadow over what should have been a time of joyful anticipation. As my pregnancy progressed, so did the internal struggles within our family. Jane's attempts at reconciliation felt more like a facade than genuine remorse. Her presence at family gatherings remained a constant reminder of the breach in trust. Mark, caught between the woman who raised him and the woman he chose to spend his life with, walked a tightrope of conflicting emotions. The impending arrival of our child loomed over us, a beacon of hope in a sea of uncertainty. We found solace in preparing for the baby's arrival, creating a sanctuary within the walls of our home. But the storm outside showed no signs of abating. One day, as I sat in the nursery, surrounded by pastel-colored walls and the soft hum of a lullaby playing in the background, Mark entered with a conflicted expression. The air in the room shifted, heavy with unspoken words. "I've been thinking, Sarah," he began, his gaze fixed on the crib that awaited our child. "Maybe it's time we consider, well, maybe it's time for a fresh start." The words hung in the air, pregnant with implications. A fresh start meant confronting the tangled roots of our family tree, and the decision weighed on us like an anchor. I looked at Mark, searching his eyes for a sign of certainty. "What do you mean, Mark?" I asked, my heart beating a little faster. He sighed, a heavy exhale that seemed to release the pent-up tension within him. "Maybe we need some distance, some time to figure things out. For us, for our child." The proposal felt like a double-edged sword. On one hand, it offered the promise of relief from the constant turmoil. On the other, it signaled the acknowledgement that our family, as it stood, was irreparably damaged. As we broached the subject with Jane, the room became charged with a mix of emotions. Her reaction was a complex blend of hurt and resignation, a silent acknowledgement that the consequences of her actions were catching up with her. The decision to create distance unfolded like a slow-motion farewell. Mark and I retreated into the cocoon of our home, focusing on the imminent arrival of our child. The nursery became a sanctuary, a space where the outside world's complexities momentarily faded. The day our baby arrived, the labor pains and the delivery room's sterile atmosphere became a surreal backdrop to the tumultuous journey we had traversed. Holding our newborn in my arms, I glimpsed a flicker of peace, a respite from the storms that had defined our recent past. Yet, as we settled into the rhythm of parenthood, the specter of family discord lingered. Mark's conflicted relationship with Jane continued to cast ripples in our daily lives. The question of whether our child would ever have the opportunity to know their grandmother weighed on us. As the months passed, the ebb and flow of family dynamics became a constant undercurrent. Mark and I navigated parenthood with love and resilience, but the absence of extended family support was palpable. Our home, though filled with the laughter of our child, echoed with the void left by strained relationships. The story of our lives continued to unfold, a narrative shaped by the choices we made and the challenges we faced. The journey ahead remained uncertain, marked by the delicate dance between reconciliation and self-preservation. As we wrote the pages of our family story, we held onto the hope that with time, wounds could heal and the fractured bonds might find a way to mend.